Well, hello, welcome back. You found class number 2. I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing I did last time. So give me 1 minute. I'll find myself in camera here on my laptop, and then that, like I said, helps me make sure I keep my hands in the camera. And if I do wander off, hopefully I look up in time and catch myself. So my apologies in advance. Okay, I can see myself here. So we've got our album that we've put together. We've got our front and our back covers. And if you haven't done so yet, we talked about it in the previous video. You just need to take that big long piece of ribbon and cut it into 6 pieces of 1 foot, right? 12 inches. So pause and get that done if you haven't. If you have, go ahead and get double-sided tape and your ribbons. And let's get going on the next step, because we're going to tack down where our ribbons go. All right, so I'm going to tack a piece here. Actually, we'll just go ahead and put the whole thing down for where the ribbons go here. And we may as well put one down here. All right, so what I want to do is I'm going to take off my release paper, and I've got one of my ribbons. And look, we've got this little grid, which you don't normally have with your paper. So I'm going to come right about there. I don't want these ribbons too close together, and I don't want them clear at the top and the bottom. So about midway. How's that for a highly official? Good enough for me. All right, so there's my 2 for this side. And then I'm going to peel that off here. And then we want a center piece so that we can tie our album close. And I'm going to go right in this little middle line. This is where mine laid out. Here's probably a little close. And you've got this fold here. So that's kind of a guide for the middle. I'm going to come in just a little bit. Okay. And if you want, you can throw your release paper back on top, just to kind of cover it up while we flip over. I don't see my other one, so I'm not going to cover that one up. So here I'm going to flip now. We've got the back. So again, I'm going to use some release score tape, 2-sided tape. And on the other side. And because we've already placed the ribbons on the front, we can use those as a guide for how we line these up. Whoops, I just threw it on the floor. It wouldn't be a crafting event if I didn't drop things on the floor. Oops, I gotta peel off my release paper here. Okay, so now we've got our papers. I've already got the back side here, so we may as well go ahead and glue this. So we're just gonna glue this right to the back. I'm gonna use my Fabrifix. It's going to allow me to slide it into place. And then it's going to hold those ribbons in place as well. You're going to see it's not exact, but it's a very forgiving album. This is just kind of like, it's just covering up that paper and holding our ribbon. All right, I'm going to flip it to the front now. Take my release paper off for the second time. And get my next cover. We're just going to glue this right to the front here. I don't want to get too close because it's going to ooze, but I want to get it close enough that it makes a good seal. Good enough. So let's let those sit before we tie ribbons and everything. So let's just move this to the side and get to cutting again. Need your trimmer back out, and I'll get mine. And I'm going to see if I left enough room that you can see my measurements in camera. Yep, looks good. All right, so we're going to start with our green. We're going to cut two pieces, the front and the back. So we'll go 5 3/4 by 5 3/4. And two of those. Okay. So now we're going to do 3 layers of yellow. So I'm going to start with, I want a little bit of that green to show up. So I'm going to start with 5 1/4 by 5 1/4. And I'm going to do 2 of those for the front and back. I don't think we need that. Oh, we'll just be consistent. It'll be cute. 5 1/4 by 5 1/4. So 2 of those. All right, so now we need our white papers. We'll need 2 of those. Or no, just 1, sorry. 1 of those. So we did 5 1/4. So I'm gonna go now 5 by 5 in the white, but not 2 of them, just 1. Trust me, that's just gonna be for the front cover. Now we need to get the pretty guy, the daisies, right? So I'm gonna cut 1 that is 5. I'm gonna go, I don't wanna lose these flowers. So I'm gonna trim at 6 first, okay? Let's see if I can get up here so you can see what I'm trying to do. I've lost this guy, but that's okay. But I've got the 2 main daisies. And I'm gonna cut again because I don't like this little snip right there. So I'm actually gonna cut this to 5 3/4 from the bottom. Just cleans up that edge for me, okay? So now, I already forgot what this was. 5. So we want this to be 4 3/4. And now I'm gonna go from the bottom, 4 3/4, because I don't mind losing some of my greenery here to keep that centered up and to keep as much of our daisies as we can. Okay, so this is going to be the layers for our front cover. Okay, and then that'll go on top of our green, which will go on our album. And we'll pop these up with foam tape. All right, so now we need to finish the back, which we don't need the white. We're just gonna do this, and then this was 5 1/4, so we're gonna cut the last piece of scrap here to 5 by 5. And it'll get that pretty kind of faux writing there, and that'll look just fine for the back cover. Just like that. So we can start gluing all those together. All right, I'm gonna see if I can, I hope, I see that I slid up so that you couldn't see this in the camera, my measurements. So hopefully by saying them, you caught them. But I'm gonna go ahead and lay them on so that you can catch it. So this is the back. We needed 2 green that were 5 3/4 by 5 3/4, okay? And then we needed 2 yellow that were 5 1/4 by 5 1/4. And then we needed our prints, and hopefully you saw how I was laying it down, that ended up, we cut away some of the bottom, so it was 4 3/4 by 4 3/4. Okay, and the same thing with this one, 4 3/4. Nope, sorry, 5 by 5. We cut that one and this one, and then we have our white for the front cover that is the 5 by 5, just like the back. All right, so let's glue those down. And if you've got some foam tape, grab that. I will need, I think, to grab mine. Make sure you're working with the front of your cover. I've glued things on backwards. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and glue. Isn't that pretty too? So pretty. I'm gonna let the green show. Just gonna have a little border of our white showing. Okay, I'm gonna flip to the back. All these ribbons. We'll put our green on first. Isn't that pretty? I wonder if we should do something different. Hang on, let's see how that looks. Just to give it a little bit of difference. And yellow. So let's do that. Let's just spice it up a little bit. I like that. So I'm actually going to put the right side up, but I'm going to brighten it up a little bit with the lighter on the back. And I'm not going to put any foam tape along this piece. So we're just going to glue it right down, centered top and bottom, left and right. And then I'll want to put the writing right side up as well. So I want to pay attention to that. And you want either score tape or a glue like this that's going to secure your paper to the glitter. That glitter's kind of finicky about what you use. All right, while that sets, I need to step away real quick and grab my foam tape. Thank goodness it was fairly close by. All right, so let's flip her back over to the front. Let's glue the white to the glitter. That looks pretty centered. And then this, which I just think is so pretty, we'll glue that centered up on the white. And the reason I did that was just to bring the white of the album back in as a layer that our eye sees. All right, and let's put our foam tape. I need to move this for a second so I have room to put my tape. I always come in a little bit from my edge so that it's not going to show to the naked eye, but close enough that it's going to support everything. I'm going to leave a little gap between them. It doesn't have to be solid, but I'm going to cover most of the real estate so that there's not an area that you could accidentally push in with your hands when you're handling it. So mostly supported. I'm going to put this one kind of to a diagonal because I thought it was a little tight to do two, but I thought it was a little too much of a gap to just do one row. So that little diagonal can help cover the real estate. Okay, so that's ready to go. So let's put that on our front cover. And that's what makes it so bright and cheery. And then eventually I will unload somewhere my pre-cut pretty butterflies. It will just add that little extra touch of color and dimension. Okay, I better stand up to make sure I put this on straight. Okay. Close enough for me. I don't like how this is showing up, but I can't change it. That's just the way it all glued together. So again, it is a forgiving album, thank goodness. Let's go ahead and tie our ribbons, and then we'll work on a few cute inserts for the inside. So, don't pull them tight. Look how nice that is. So as you put things in the album, it's got some expansion ability. So we're not going to pull this taut. We want to leave it where it allows it to expand. And then we'll definitely want to trim our ribbon. I want it that way. I usually would put this on my lap, but I want you to be able to see in camera. So it's a little wobbly. But that yellow just brightens it up and makes it feel like spring and summer. Got a little twist there. You don't have to be as careful on the bottom because it is thicker already. Okay, so I think those are pretty and nice sized bows. I'm just going to trim. If I can come to this side. There we go. And my arm might be in camera just a little bit. I apologize. That one's a little shorter, so I'm going to trim that just a bit. I'm working with some dull scissors here. There we go. All right. So now we'll do the same thing with our front bows. Got a lot of ribbon scraps around. So we'll tie it. And I like a nice generous bow. I'm going to trim it. Let's see if I can find there is a sharp piece to place in these scissors, but there's a dull place too. I'm going to go in just a little bit. There we go. So that's what it's going to look on the outside. And then when you stand up, these are going to be to the side. And there's your closure. So I just think it's really fun and bright and a cute little pattern. So let's do a few things on the inside. We need our white again. Remember, these are 6 by 6. So we've got all these cute little pocket inserts, and we'll remember to find our butterflies. I'm not going to put my foam tape too far away because we'll need them to pop up those butterflies too. So if you haven't, find your little butterflies on those tags and cut those out. And, all right, so I've got some scraps of white too, but let's start with a fresh set. Maybe, here we go. So I'm gonna make a couple inserts. So we might as well just cut while we've got the paper and the trimmer. I'm gonna pull it down so you can see measurements. All right, so if we've got 6, I want room for this to tuck in. So I'm gonna start at 5.5 by 5.5, and we should be able to get 2 out of each sheet of paper. So we've already got the 5.5 cut here, so I'm gonna cut to 5.5. Okay, and we have our scraps. I don't think those are gonna be long enough. Oh. All right, so let's do this. We've got another sheet of paper. So we're going to split it in half at 4 1/4. And then we're going to fold it in half. And if you've got your bone folder, you can give it a good crease, but just folding it should be fine too. We're going to add our little cards to these too, because we've got so many cute little cards. All right, we've got another sheet of paper. Let's do the same thing because we've got more cards. So we're just going to split it right down the half at 4 1/4. Fold them in half. We're just going to leave a lot of room to add a photo. And we've got a few with lines for like a journal box. We're going to decorate these with our scrap papers that we saved, that we set aside. All right. And I have a scrap, so hopefully you have it. You should be able to cut one more 5 1/2 by 5 1/2. We're not going to deal with the tiny scraps. And that should be enough because we don't have to put an insert on every page. Oops, we still need the trimmer. So now find your pretty green. Okay, and we're going to cut 5 1/2. No, so let's cut 5 1/4 by 5 1/4. I was getting on a roll there. And another one. And we will flip-flop front and backs, 5 1/4 by 5 1/4. And we've got this again, so let's do it again. 5 1/4. And then for this one, let's do 4. Because I believe that will then fit perfectly as a mat here. So let's do another one of those. Another one at 4. And we might have room to do one more. Oh, it is 4. Huh. All right, so we've got 3 of those. We'll glue them all down in just a minute. We're just cutting our pieces. Okay, so now we have got this pretty purple. We'll do the same thing. 5 1/4. Making sure I'm still in camera, and I am. By 5 1/4. And 5 1/4. And then we'll do 5 1/4, and we'll do 3 of them at 4. Oh, I just cut it to 5. Well, I hope you cut it to 5 1/4. What am I gonna do? 5 1/4. Okay, well, you're on camera, so you can cut yours to 5 1/4, and I'll just mess with mine. So then 3 of them that are 4, 4, and 4. So what I'm going to do is make it harder on myself. And I'm just going to cut a 1-inch piece, and I'll have to piece all of mine to 4 and 4. And maybe mine will have to be flip-flopped on top. And if you like that, you can do it too. This one was my last cut, so I'll bet it's not exactly 4. So double check that too, because your papers are not always exactly 12 by 12. So if you like that, you can cut it to 5 and then cut 3 pieces that are 1 inch by 4. Because I'm going to have to do some decoration to fix my boo-boo. All right, let's glue these. We still have some scraps left in our green with the journal page on the other side, the leftover piece of our flower. So let's see if we need that. So let's just start gluing them. So here's all my pieces. Here's my whites. We'll do the narrow ones last. Let's get the whites done, the large squares first. So I'm going to set these to the side. And set these to the side. Okay, so now we've got our squares and our squares. So again, this is just gluing them down. If you like to edge your paper with ink, feel free to do that. Just going to center it left and right, top and bottom. Do the same thing on this one, and I'm going to go ahead and flip. That looks like what would be the top, just so we have a variety of prints when we flip through our album. Okay, we'll do the same thing on this one. Ooh, might do that because that's kind of the same as the front cover. But I like that purple too. So we've only got 3 of these, so we can cover the back as well. So I'm going to flip and put purple on this back, which is kind of nice. That way you can add a photo front and back, or journaling, or whatever you like. Okay. And we may do the same thing on these, but let's make sure we have enough paper first, okay? So let's cover our little foldovers because we have so many cute little journal boxes. So I'm just going to pick one. And again, you can flip-flop front and backs. We've got the paper, we may as well use it, right? Let's see, I can't tell what the front, I think this is, like these are hanging flowers. Cute. So that way we can make use of all these great cards. So here's my boo-boo. So do I want, well, I can do a couple. So here's my purple front. It's gonna look like we were really fancy. And then here I'll glue my flip side. You can see it. Just like that. All right, so now I'm going to do the same thing on my inside. I'm going to do my purple. And my bottom. All right, we'll see if I'm going to leave these open because we may cut a piece for that too. We'll see. All right, we've got that green. So it might be nice to see all of the pretty greenery. So we're going to lead with the green and the flowers. And it all goes together because it was all part of the same collection. And then I'll glue the side, the same side, so we've got the purple showing. All right. So we have got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're going to cut 6 pieces out of these leftovers. So remember, it was 5 1/4 by 4. 1, 2, and I'm going to trim this just to make sure. 3. So that's my 3, and now I've got the green piece, which I can use the back sides of both of them. 5 1/4. And 1, 2, and 3. Let's get that first one, make sure it's really 4. Okay, so let's go ahead and glue those. And I think that's it for the trimmer. So it's easier for me to stay in camera if I'm not juggling that too. So we've got our insides here. Just going to see how I like this, and I do. So we're just going to put both of those together. Just fun little tuck-ins to our pages. All right, so that one's all done. We're not going to be able to put papers on the backs of the large squares, and that's okay. I'm going to put green. I think that's too busy, so we're going to let the green lead on that top. Just like that. Okay, and now, oh, I guess we could have. That's pretty, I like that, just that ledger. That's what you call that paper. I've got 2 pieces left. So what we could do is just make those journal boxes. So let's see what we have for scraps, see if they're bigger. So I've got this scrap and this scrap that I said originally to save. So I'm going to go ahead and, this was 5 1/4. So I'm going to cut both of these to 5 1/2. So you can do the same, pardon my arm. I'm going to reach way up to my trimmer. We may as well use them, we've got the scraps. I don't know about that print. What do you think? Should we do it? Might as well. Let's show the print. Why not? Just more flowers. And after we get both of these glued down, it'll be time to find all of those pretty little journal boxes. I think I'm going to let that cute little bud show through there. So I'm going to do that side up. So we're just letting that little bud show. Okay, so we've got 2 little journal boxes. We've got our little flips, and we've got our insert squares. So I'm going to clean up my area, and we need to find our cut apart cards. Where are my, and you've got all these tags. Oop, I found my butterflies. Found those butterflies and all my cards. So we're going to want to trim these off. And they're so pretty with so many flowers. And clean up your edges. So that might, you might have already got those ready. I did not, so you're going to watch me reach for my trimmer. And I'm just cutting them apart. And then if there's a line showing, I'm just trimming that away. Oops, I missed that one. There we go. All right. So now let's just pick what we want to feature on what. That's gonna hide. I'm just taking them all for a test drive. I may cut something else pretty there and put this on the inside because I don't want my bud to be covered up. So I'm going to set him aside because these are just the flip cards. So here's our flip ups. So I kind of like how this lives at my 1 inch. So that's kind of why I'm going with that. So you pick what you like. All right, I'm going to do this because it's bringing the purple with that purple. I'm going to put it up here because I think your photo should go here when you open it up. So I'm going to put this up here. Just going to glue it down. So we've got lots of these pretties. And these little insert cards will be perfect. All right, so what do I want on the front? That's really pretty. I'm just going to go with that. I've got my pretty bloom. Okay, so that one's done. I'm going to set it aside. So now we've got this guy. Kind of gets lost, but I think they're all going to be pretty white. Just test drive. And this is actually kind of a piece of that. So I like how that looks. I'm going to glue that right on top. And in hindsight, I kind of wish that I would not have used it, that I've kept the contrast paper so that these cards could be featured a little bit more. But it's all going to blend and look pretty. I don't ever get hung up. All right, this is where I like to put a journal box as well. So I'm going to put a journal box, one that has lines on the inside. And I think that yellow flower is going to pop out a little bit more. So that's what I'm going to put up there. And then your picture. And again, you could put a picture on the back as well. But I'm going to call that one done. All right, we've got this guy. Got that one. Got this one, go through what you go through. And I've got this one. I don't have any more with purple in it, but I do have this guy. It's got some purple, that pretty lilac. I think I'll do that. If you hear some vacuuming, I've got some cleaning going on. So I apologize for any noise. Okay, and now I'm going to open it up and find a place for, do I have any left with lines? Enjoy Today is going to go up there. So we'll call that one done. And now we've got these guys. So I'm just thinking, what do we want to do? Let's come back with our journal cards as well, because we've got a lot left. And you don't have to use them all. I like that little bumblebee. Okay, so I like the contrast of this. It's got a little bit of orange with what's gone around it. So I'm going to glue that to my orange. I'm going to leave the back blank so you can put a photo there. Okay. We've still got more. I think I'm just going to tuck those in my pocket. So I'm going to leave these blank. Let me see if there's any one of these. I just think I'm going to leave it quiet. All right, so I think I have one more that I haven't finished. Oh, look at that. Well, we're just going to have to leave it. Do we have any other scraps? We could cut the back of this, but that's kind of blah. Not going to do it. So I'm sorry, I had one of mine slip under my trimmer, which is fine. We'll just dress it up on the inside. So my scrap, I've got this guy or this guy. The pineapple's kind of fun. I like that. I'm going to put this on my last one. You're probably in the camera going, you've got one more. But we're making more places to tuck your photos. Now I have a scrap over here. I'm going to cut to 5 1/4. So when I open this up, lay that along there. We'll just do that. You can put your picture on the top one. So we've got a little bit of paper. I even have another scrap. Oh, nope, that's not good. We're not going to use that. Kind of like this. I've got a little green scrap, so hopefully you do too. So I'm going to cut this to 4, which is what we were cutting all of our pieces to. And I'm just going to glue it down here at the bottom and then anchor my card along that bottom piece. So I've got just this little green strip. It was a scrap from something. All right, that's pretty straight. So now I can glue down this really pretty one that's got foil on it. Okay, so we've got all of our cards and our inserts. Let's start tucking them into our pages. Don't lose my 2 butterflies. All right, so here's my book. We'll start with the first page. Let's just see what looks nice. So that can go there. I'm going to do the same kind of green on this side. So I've got my little tuck-ins. And turn my page. And I've got this here. And do I have another square? Yeah, we can do that here. Okay, so now I've only got one more square and a couple pages, so I'll do this guy here, and maybe just my insert card here. Flip again. I'm going to go ahead and put that here, and then I've got 2 little loose cards. I'm just going to tuck a card in there. I think we had another card. Yep, I'm going to tuck him in there with it, because you can put a picture on the back. And flip one more time, and we've got an insert card here and an insert card here. So that's how those will lay out. That's our album. So now let's find places for these little butterflies to live. We'll just add a little bit more color to our album. So I kind of like that. I'm going to cut my foam and pop these guys up, and we will have finished our project. So sorry for the little boo-boos along the way. Hope you don't mind being patient with me. I'm just bending my wings a little bit too. little smaller piece of my foam. Just bend my wings up just a little bit. Take my foam off. This guy can go right over here like he's flying away. And there you go. Just a really simple pattern. You don't have to do all the inserts. You could leave it blank and just tuck in all your photos. But I think they add a little fun addition. And then let's tie our little bow. See if I can get that tied. And I'm not going to pull it real tight, but somewhat tight. So I want to get my shiny part up. There we go. And then push the shiny part through so that both of my loops are the shiny part of the ribbon. Flip it a little bit, and I'll make sure it's staying in camera. Get you a nice clean picture. See if I can cover up that nasty reflection. Too high. Takes me a second to see. It takes me, sorry, I have a delay before I can see on camera. Go, what do I need to do? There we go, we're in camera, and we've got most of that glare covered up. So, there you have it. We're all done. And I love the little daisies. I hope you do too. And I hope to catch you on another crafty, fun project coming soon. Bye-bye.